Alright, this is a microphone check for the MiG-21. Might need to adjust the jet audio here, let's see. It's not bad, mic's a little hot. I'm going to turn that down. Oh good, you can see all my settings. Alright, mic adjusted, back to the game. Alright, simply put, for the binds in the MiG-29, all Flaming Cliffs 3 operate on 3 buttons. Electric power on, engine start, engine start. A user requested going over the binds for I think a Mongoose CM3 by Virpil. So I'd recommend having your...
Springfield 1-1, taxi to parking area.
Geez, gotta turn off that guy. Having your button dial set up to a 5-way configuration. So when you turn it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get 6 different buttons on the button box itself. So I have mine set to station 3 on the switch is engine start, illumination cockpit, gear lights, navigation lights. Number 2 is an important feature for the Su-27 MiG-29. Autopilot on, autopilot barometric hold, attitude hold, transition to level flight control, and reset. On real MiG and Sukhoi planes, that big red button there off to the left is autopilot disconnect. So if you have the button, that might be a good bind for you. I have it on the box because most of my stick is all weapons or defense related. Just how I have it set up to be congruent with all of Flaming Cliffs 3 modules. Moving right along, gear, up, down. I'm using these on the red switches on the CM3. You will need to fix the input in the Virpil software, as they are just a one function. You need to switch it to an off-on function. I can do that, but there are some good videos going over Virpil software tuning. Gear up, down, nothing on the bottom one. The HUD filter on and off. Nice feature to have. Flaps up and down on the flap switch. I used to have that on the zoom. Occasionally I'll play on VR, so I have that on flaps, but that used to be my zoom switch, which is an awesome function because it's such a wide axis. I was playing around with the metal switches for different autopilot modes. Might not go back to that, I didn't like it too much. RWR, really annoying. Volume up and down on one of the encoder dials, E2. It's also good to note, I think there's a... Is it interval? No, I think that's just the Su-25. The other encoder I use for interval changing on the Su-25. That's that. Let's see, what else we got? Jettison fuel tanks. Very big encoder dial on the end. When you push that in, jettison fuel tanks. Pinky switch, weapon change. Up and down on the 3-way hat That's kind of like a mountain. Air brake on and off. I found no use really on this plane for the slider. Great use for the F-18 and F-16 radar altitude switch or attitude switch, but not much of a use in Flight Eclipse 3. 4-way, or I guess it's an 8-way hat next to the slider switch. Scan zones. It's an important feature. I'll go over that in just a minute. Scan zone up, down, left, right. Pushing it in. Radar, range while scan, track while scan, mode select. You don't have AIM-120s on the MiG-29 or Su-27s, so track while scan isn't as valuable, but it does have its value and it can be used. It's just extremely situational. On the thumb dial, the nice big dial, predicted range target increase or decrease. This also on the Sukhoi changes the zoom on the data link. It also changes the predicted range increase. Don't quote me on it, I haven't read the manual in a long time. I thought it had something to do with how the radar's focused. Don't quote me on it. Thumb hat, just behind the target size increase, target lock, and then below that, so I have that as target lock. Below that there's that nice little hat switch. I call it the half pipe hat switch, where it has two big edges. You can really feel your thumb just sits right in there. Pushing down goes helmet mode, back is visual range, just kind of sets it up. Pushing in goes launch permission override. If you want to make that shot, push that. Close combat air mode is pushing it forward. Oh, and then my other two buttons are radio switch. So the red switch underneath is my radio talk button for SRS, and the black single button behind the target lock switch is for changing channels on SRS. If you're new, you aren't getting an SRS, but I can go over that at another time as well. Off to the stick. This is all speculative. I'm going to get in the air, and we're going to talk from there. So, electric power was on, engine was on. You can only start one engine at a time in the MiG-29. That's the plane we are in. Didn't take any extra fuel, so I might not make it to the airstrip. But I would look at images of a real MiG-29 or Sukhoi flight stick and try to base your binds off of that. You can see the bottom switch there acting as the wheel brake.
Searching, clear to taxi to runway 24.
That's a hot dog it around
Chevy
here.
61, unable to clear for takeoff.
Yeah, thanks AI. We could mute that. Oh. So you start up the MiG, electric power on.
Chevy 61, searching. You are cleared for takeoff.
Left engine on, right engine on.
300 at QFE 747.42.
The AEMN switch down there, your damper, that has to be solid before you take off. Lots of noobs don't like to sit. They don't sit for the 45 seconds or minute 70 seconds, whatever it is, for that light to go solid. If you take off with that light is solid, you're going to hate yourself. The MiG is if you know history, you know that the MiG is a semi-fly-by-wire system. I like 10 clicks aft on the stick. For takeoff, it makes it rotating extremely smooth. I'm just going to give it a little bit of throttle. It's about 20% throttle. You can see the RPM there. That's what I'm looking at. At 10,000, afterburners are going to engage, which we'll see on green lamps there on the right. 300 is the max takeoff before wheels burst. Engage some afterburners and get off the deck. Gear up. Didn't even deploy my flaps, that's okay. Going back to about 8,200. I'm just making a quick stop at Gudada up ahead, based on the fact I have no fuel except what's in the tanks, and I'm on an aerobatic server with the ugly pylons attached. Anyway, trimming back. MiG is an extremely trim-heavy aircraft. You can see I'm at 8,500, decreasing to 8,200 RPM, trimming back a little bit. Nose is going high, so I'm trimming back forward. You can see just little increments. I'll look down and try to keep the sky in my peripherals, but we're okay. 8,200, leveling out. Okay, we're kind of climbing just where I want to be. Looking at our attitude indicator there. Okay, we're at about a 5-degree climb. You can also have it up on the HUD there. Can I show any binds on the throttle that I talked about? HUD filter, great for when you're looking in the sun and in a dogfight or need to find those pesky radar contacts. That's BVR mode on the half-pipe switch I was talking about. Vertical scan mode, bore sight mode, helmet mode, so you get your beautiful zone, and of course, out of range, can't scan back there. Nothing will be locked up because nothing's on. So going over to the stick, we have radar on, TN for thermal, the IRST system, and I'll just go over the binds. I think there's an airfield up ahead. Okay, we're going to turn 117 for 55. We're going to hit the gas because we can land there no sweat. 117 for 55. Alright, we're going to use some of those autopilot modes I'd mentioned. If you're joining, watching, type out in the chat if you want to see the plane. We're just kind of going over basic Flaming Cliffs 3 MiG-29 protocol. Green lamps are lit over here on the side, therefore the afterburners are on. And if you're not an aircraft nerd, an unfortunate aircraft nerd like me, you are asking yourself when you hit the afterburner, why does the plane pitch up? The Sukhoi and the MiG-29, their nozzles for the afterburners are pitched, I think it's like 3 degrees for the MiG, like maybe 6 or 7 degrees for the Sukhoi, don't quote me, but pulling from memory on this one. So when you imagine that, you apply 40,000 pounds of thrust or whatever it is, that plane is just going to want to nose right up. So you're going to be countering that with the trim as you're applying throttle or pulling back on the throttle. Pulling back down to about 8,500, it's wanting to nose down because we're gaining more altitude. So trim forward, just playing the game. What did I say, 117 for, I think this is Gudada, right? Unless Gudada's behind us? No. I want to land at Sakumi, which I think is the next strip. We got another strip to go. Alright, so we're going over to our autopilot features. The Sukhoi 27 and the MiG-29 are great, and they are trim dependent, and the autopilot system is also an extremely useful function to aid in trimming the aircraft. trimming those down a little bit, gaining some speed. I want to slow down quite a bit, so I'm just going to go dead to throttle and even out. So the damper is on for the MiG-29. We can tell by that white lamp down there by our left knee. So we have that semi fly-by-wire system Mr. Mick again designed. Oh, I still got another island to go by. Okay. I know where I'm headed now. There's our airstrip right off our nose. Alright, so getting to a reasonable speed. The MiG-29 at high speed, if you try to engage the autopilot, you will get some gnarly oscillations within the tail system. So I recommend setting the autopilot or setting the trim at low manageable speed between 5 and 800, 850 is pushing it, where you're going to start to see really bad stuff happening to your plane. You're sitting in the cockpit wagging your head like this because that's just how this plane is. So I'm nearly at a stable altitude, at an okay speed, a little fast, that's alright. So I'm going to do barometric hold. And there's an interesting kind of pairing between barometric hold and attitude hold. I forgot my binds if you couldn't tell, so I hit barometric hold first. You have to have attitude hold activated before barometric altitude hold can be activated. Just a quirk of this jet. So we have autopilot off. Barometric won't activate. Attitude, barometric. Plane's going to try to keep stable. You can see if I try to engage it, it fights me and it tries to hold me at that attitude. So disengage, throttle back. I like where I'm at. Attitude hold, not climbing, barometric hold. It's going to keep me right at, I think I'm what? I'm from the United States of America, so my metrics isn't good, but my love for different countries' airplanes has taught me that server restart. Excellent. I love the timing of it. You multiply it by about 3, so I'm about 10,000 and change, maybe 11,000 feet high. I'm really glad they put this big logo in the way. It's really a scenic masterpiece for us, isn't it? Alright, we'll there are some user missions that I was going to test. I recommended this to a person who was asking me questions. And I think I used it years ago, but I want to make sure I recommended the right one. It'd be rather awkward if I gave him a terrible mission. And sure enough, I gave him a terrible mission. Okay, off to the other one I sent. Fingers crossed. If you're feeling brave and don't want to lurk, please tell me. I kind of adjusted the mic volume and input on this stream and the volume of the goodness gracious. Thank you very much, DCS, for borking my missions. Okay then, well... Okay, well, I'm no noob, we're just gonna go right into Persian Gulf, custom, yes, looks great, clean coalitions, okay. I'm just gonna jump us right in on the 6, I'm gonna throw a bunch of big planes, small planes, whatever, and shoot them all down. Because a lot of the functions on the stick are associated with shooting them down. Okay. First things first, let's get ourselves a jet. What are we doing? We're doing the MiG still, right? Unless someone comments and says Sukhoi 27 or Sukhoi 33. We're flying the MiG, baby. I love the MiG. The MiG. Oh, that's right. I'm USA. Here we go. MIG-29S. I am a client. That's fine. We'll give ourselves some weapons. And we gotta look good to fly good. Am I right or am I right? Okay, let's go R-73. Because I know there is a TWS mission I can fly after this to show track while scan. Good, good, good. Well then, it has seems that my DCS is having serious problems. I might have to run a repair if I cannot, or I might have to play on a multiplayer server and then remind myself to run a repair after this because something is wrong with my game. Okay, I just tried mission, right? Yeah. Instant action will be my last resort, and then I'll just hop back onto a multiplayer server. Flaming Cliffs, Persian Gulf. MiG-29. That might be Syria. Well, here goes nothing. Well, been promoted to first lieutenant, but the game keeps on dying.
Request rearming. Copy.
I'll be back with you tomorrow. I'm gonna get some water and shove a couple thousand wheat thins in my mouth.
Rearming complete.
What a lovely sound, alright? So, quick run through. Electric power on. Engine start. Wait for the one to get to 7,000 RPM. Other engine start. Doesn't matter the order. I do left and right. Make sure your throttles are all the way at 0. Otherwise, your engine will not start. Too many form posts, seeing people say that. Oh, look at that. What's that on the bottom there? The blinking white damper light. We're going to wait for that to go all the way out or all the way illuminate before we take off. Otherwise, you'll have a bad time. If you didn't notice, I gave us some big bags right now. Big bags, big takeoff. I would recommend learning how to take off in the MiG-29 with no afterburner. You really feel the intricacies and finery of the low-speed handling of this aircraft, learning low-speed takeoffs. It'll also prep you for landing as well. But we're heavy. Gotta give it some gas on takeoff today. You can taxi, of course, while you're blinking, and boom, we're solid.
Chevy 61, Sochi, clear to taxi to runway 24.
I think I turned off. No, I didn't, but good thing I caught it. I'm gonna get some speed and just cruise down the runway here, go over the joystick controls and go joystick binds. Electro switch I have on a very nice flickable switch. Radar on and off. Oh, I don't want to hit the grass. I don't want to hit the grass. I have it on a high thumb switch. If you look on the real joystick, it's actually, I've only seen the Sukhoi 27, but it's a little up and down switch. So if you have a hat that you're not going to use all 4 ways on, you might want to use the up and down feature for radar on and off, electro switch on and off. And these are, when you turn on the electrical optical, it turns off the radar. But you can have the electrical optical system on and turn on the radar, and it doesn't turn off the electrical optical system. I'll show you that symbology once we get in the air. One of my other hats on my thumb, weapon change. Also a 4-way is weapon jettison. Trim hat, most right hat, trim reset. Pointer finger side button is nose wheel steering. Pinky is drag shoot. Thumb is countermeasure dispense for a side thumb switch 4-way hat. Weapon fires the pickle button. Gun is cannon. And that's it. I think, I have bogey dope request, HUD color, HUD brightness up, HUD brightness down, previous waypoint, next waypoint. I think I used to bind one of my buttons to zoom. But that looks good. That's the joystick. Quickly again for the throttle. Jettison fuel tanks. Large encoder off the side. Pinky switch is also weapon change. Air brake on. Air brake off for the angular hat. Go to your ring finger. Slider, no use. Scan zone up, down, left, right. And RWS, track while scan, range while scan. Next to the analog switch. Thumb encoder, predicted target range, increase, decrease. Push in is zoom for me on this one. I used to have no use for that hat. A big, I call it like an angular button. It's a steep cliff. It's not a rounded button. It's a steep button. Radar pulse repeat frequency select. I didn't go over that in the beginning. That's an important one. Once you get the basic radar functions down of the MiGs and Sukhois, that's going to be something you're going to want to play with, because it does improve the responsiveness and the range at which the radar can pick up targets. Behind the big thumb encoder, we have target lock. Push in on the hat, pull it back. Below that, we have the half pipe hat. Down is beyond visual range engage, or pull it back towards you is beyond visual range mode. HMD mode is down, up is vertical scan, bore mode is forward, launch permission override is depressing that button. I think I based those off of the real functioning hats and switches. Although, from what I've researched, the Warthog throttle does have a little bit more similarities in buttons. But for you, the Mongoose CM3 is an excellent device. And like I said, the red button on the bottom and black button, single buttons, are communication for SRS. Gear up, gear down, and that's about it. Let's get out of here. So I'm going to use my pointer finger on the joystick, get that high range wheel spin around. No friendlies taken off. Pull my flaps back because we're heavy. It's the other thing, characteristics about the MiG-29. When the flaps are down, you lose that high range wheel steering. So once you pull your flaps, you better be lined up on the deck, because you aren't going to be making any sharp turns. Lined up nicely. Here we go. 2 lamps indicating first stage of afterburner has been activated. You can see that thing 10 clicks back aft on the stick. Just what I like to do. The thing noses up right away. 300, gotta pull back, and we're airborne. Just like that. Gear up. 400, we'll pull our flaps up. And we're cruising. Keeping those 10 clicks back on the stick for now, because like I said, the angle of the nozzle has an effect. Give it a couple more clicks back just to kind of get it situated at speed. It's going to nose down, so I'm at about 18 clicks aft on the trimmer. You can see once we get going, that thing just wants to pull. That's no input on the stick, hands off. We got our moderate afterburner, not a huge afterburner detent right here, and we're just climbing. So we'll throttle back. You don't want to level out here. As you can see, we're at nearly a 40-degree climb. Roll it around. It looks like we got a ship up ahead. It might be one of the refuelers. Good time to use the BVR. So that's BVR mode engaged. Nothing's showing up because I don't have any mode selected. EO, TN mode. Electrical optical system, infrared signatures tracking mode. Boom, got a hit. Got something big in the middle of the screen there. I'm using the pointer finger analog to slew this around. I'm going to use my thumb on the hat. Locked it. I can go over the symbology. I might do a further, more in-depth actual video on the MiG-29's functionality on what everything means. I like to keep it in Cyrillic or acrylic. That's how I learned it. That's how I'm going to keep it, just because that's what I like. Some people switch to the English cockpit. For me, something about learning a different country's alphabet and applying it to combat in an aircraft and shooting down people in an online game. It's fantastic. Okay, we're going to break lock. I'm going to go radar. What do you see there? You see double lines because the radar is saying, hey, that's a friendly. Don't lock it. But I will go over the symbology, if you like, of how you can read off of a lock. Because if you lock that in EO mode and switch to radar, the symbology will slightly change, but the double lines, you will not get a double line on a lock. Let's see if we can do that. That might be a far aircraft, and we won't be able to lock it. Yeah, it's only going to show up in radar, but we're going to head towards it and see what we can see. Alright, we're going to go full burners, get way up there, try to hit Mach 2. Let's see if we can get it. Cruising at 10,000 kilometers, 810. We're going to trim back, get ourselves situated, kind of ease off the afterburner slowly. Although the indicated airspeed may be going down, Mach number will remain around 1. Just because we are at a much higher altitude. Engaging autopilot mode, we have attitude hold, barometric hold. Should keep us right about 10,700. You can see the indicator there is blinking. That's an on and off functionality. So something is unstable in the aircraft. If I go to an external view, you will see I'm guessing it's going to be the tail moving up and down or fluctuating. So yeah, you see the tail fluttering up and down slightly. That's just oscillation from either the bags I have on this aircraft, the speed, the altitude, some combination the autopilot system is not liking right now. But we're at about 10,680. We started at 10,700. Not bad. Maintaining speed, the diamond's right in the center of our speed there, up to the left, 550. So everything's looking good. On stream, you might not be able to see. I haven't checked. Turn on the HUD filter. 550. Diamonds in the middle. That means our speed is consistent. We'll keep that filter up just for now. We'll go Oh, should we get red? That's cool, right? We'll get 30 viewers with a red HUD. I don't know if there's anyone online. Looks like some people are connecting back. Maybe we can fly with some people. What do we got? F5, F14, F16s. Might get some cool shots and fly by some Mi-24s. Okay, where were we? We want to hit Mach 2, that's right. We're headed over to the main spawn where all the blue craft F-14s helicopters spawn. Where is it? Is it Batumi? Sakumi? Got our F-16s over here and F-14s down here on good old Cabaletti. Oh, we got two people flying right ahead. We'll give them a surprise. Alright, we're going to get situated on the heading. Head on down. If you're just joining us, viewer asked me to go over the MIG-29 binds and functionalities. Well, I kind of wanted to dive into the functionality because it's one of the gems of the game, and I've always wanted to fly a MiG-29. Who hasn't? 146 or 139 for 60. So we'll get on. Autopilot's still on. Disengage. Roll over to 139. Gonna check the altitude. That's my math. 34,000. 10,000 I said times 3. Plus 6 times 3 is 18, so it's 32,000 is my math. And we're at 34, so plus 2. As it increases, I think it's at 9,000, it increases by 500 more each multiplication of 3. I think that's the way I figured it. If you're from across the pond, as an American, we don't know kilometers. We don't know kilometers per hour. We don't know kilometers in height. You could ask 10 Americans what a meter is. The only people who are going to know what a meter is are people who play DCS or people who play Call of Duty who know how to make a ping. 100 meters away is about 300 feet. Alright. 140 about. We're going to nose down just a smidge. Get real level. Once we see our speed increasing, we're going to give it lots of gas. There we go. Speed's increasing. Diamond move to the right up there. 560. I'm maintaining. Alright, we're giving it gas. Lots of gas in the tank. Wing tanks are empty. But on Flaming Cliffs 3 planes, you cannot jettison just the wing tanks. It's all or nothing. We got 3 bags on. We're going to empty 3 bags, drop them, try to hit Mach 2 on our way over here. Maintaining level flight. Slightly descending just to gain max speed. Gonna head up to about 44,000, 45,000 feet and invert. Try to hit Mach 2 on our way down. Pulling back on the trim. fuel. A little premature on the fuel drop, but we want to maximize our speed. Nose down just a smidge. And we're there. Mach 2. Our Apache buddy might be gone. He's still there. All the way back on the throttle, come around nice and easy here. Nope. I think these guys are learning how to fly the Apache, so we're going to be kind to them and not bust by at Mach 1. Bleed some speed here, get nice and low. Coming through Mach 1, alright. Adjusting the trim as I come in, because I know it's going to want to pitch down, because I had a lot of opposite pitch. What are these guys? Where'd they go? Oh, they quit. Oh, they're over here at Cavaletti. We'll cruise on over to Cavaletti. Let's see if we pick up anyone on EO. We do. Okay, we have... So you see there, we have a nice big bar signifying some kind of target picked up on our electrical optical system. Switching to ABT. ABT's interleave, meaning it's pinging high frequency, low frequency. If we switch that, what did that? NNC, high frequency, so it's just only pinging outwards. ENC is low frequency. If a plane is flying away from you, that's the one you use. ABTs, you don't know what's in front of you, so you use both of the frequencies. That might have been the helicopter I picked up, so it just will not show as I'm flying over the airfield they're at. Rather slow, so we're taking our turn nice and easy, not gonna over-G ourselves. Using some rudder here to get my nose around. Too much rudder. Some F-14s are starting their engines, so I'm going to cruise on by. There's that Apache. Well, if he's going to buzz the F-14s, we're going to buzz him buzzing the F-14s. Alright. Nice and low, a little crooked. Make them poop their pants. So using the autopilot as a trimmer function, if we want to climb, say at 10 degrees, we just activate attitude hold, and it would hold our attitude right here at 10 degrees. Disengage it, turn back around. But if you notice, holding it at 10, attitude hold, disengage, it's going to hold us at 10 until our speed, we're at 0 throttle, so our speed's decreasing, will eventually nose down, but the plane is trimmed at that 20% throttle mark. It's going to hold a 10-degree climb even with autopilot off. So using the autopilot as an advantage, or as a tool to help your trimming, is essential in these Sukhoi and MiG craft. People say, they don't like having the repeater there. I agree. The Sukhoi 27 and the Su-33, J-11 are fantastic because they have data link on that display off to the right. But there have been a handful of times where the sidewinders hit a wing, knocked out my HUD function, but I was able to get a kill, get 2 kills, get 3 kills, and navigate back home due to that repeater being active. So as much as people knock it, it is an asset. Not as helpful as data link, but still a nice function of this craft. Where'd everybody go? I see it's an aerobatic circuit, right? Turn off your radar. That's probably the F-14, not knowing he's having Jester ping us. I'm going to turn down our RWR all the way. Come back around. Now that we know that Apache's looking our way, come back in, and a resident on the server was cruising out here in an Apache as well. Alright. We're still not light enough, but we can... I think we can manage a touch and go. That's about all the planes online right now. Alright. And swing it hard. Might be overspeeding our gear. Oh, there's that. Is that the F-14? Oh, let's go fly with the F-14, right? Why not? Who doesn't love an F-14? Radar's on. So if you notice, I lock them. It says A above the ATK. A means it's a bad guy. Well, we know that that's not a bad guy. You flick radar on, it says ACB, which means friendly. If it were an enemy, and you turn on the radar, it would say
Осталось 1500 килограмм.
Thank you.
Осталось 1500 килограмм.
That's not a Betty, but that's Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. So that guy has no idea that I'm locking him right now, but I could fire on him if I had weapons and get a team kill. So you flip on your radar, see it's a friendly, don't fire. See if he's going to be a yabo and just hot dog around, or he'll let me form up here on his side. 1,500 kilograms of fuel, we're fine. Or liters of fuel. Or kilos of fuel, I guess, right? Kiloliters? He's kind of being a hot dog. What is this guy doing? See you later, man. Average DCS Tomcat pilot. I'm kidding, man. I think everyone who plays on the aerobatic server has at least 30 craters with their name on it. Alright, I'm gonna flick that up so I can see. Don't want to touch the wheels at anything greater than 300. Trimming back. Still fast. Flaps aren't down, that's part of the problem. About 300, looking good. Give it some more gas. Sorry, Hornet, just a touch and go, buddy.
Go around, runway occupied.
Like right now, my nose wants to pitch up dramatically. I'm trimming forward. Keep my stability up. Oh, this guy's gonna be a super hot dog if he's pulling the vertical right off the gate. Alright, let's sling it around and get behind him.
Переведи в набор. 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 Переведи в
I'm gonna
набор.
crash.
Переведи в набор.
One thing I don't recommend, flying formation with players who just want to fly
Осталось
crazy.
800 килограмм.
Under 1,000
Рубеж
kilograms, alright, we'll get
возврата.
in
Осталось
a
800
proper
килограмм.
pattern here and get down on the deck. Air brakes out. Can't have the air brake out with your gear. Flaps you can, so you can get real slow, but now the Tomcat wants to take off. Alright, you're all clear, bud. I'm just gonna be cruising about 450 or so. Get my air brake retracted. Rotate around nice and easily, just doing a racetrack around Cavaletti. Nose up, click, click, click. Nose back down. About 400, a little fast. If we get under 350, we might have problems. If we be smooth about it, we should just stick right there. Ah, beautiful. Landing the MiG's pretty difficult if you want to do it true to life. I definitely recommend coming in at about 350. A little closer to the runway than I like. We're going to do gear down, flaps down. I'm also increasing in altitude. Couple hundred feet low as well. Increasing the speed slightly. Maximizing your speed. Mill power. Yeah, we're gonna bork it. We'll save it, but a little fast. Trim back, just gliding in. A little rough. Not a bad landing. Not the greatest, but it's been a while since I've tried to do the MiG-29 proper. Howdy doody there, 14. Go and get them.
Chevy 6-1, taxi to parking
Flaps are
area.
up so I can use my high gain manual steering. Sit here and enjoy the takeoff of this F-14. Oh, he's giving me a flash. Alright, let's get our... Give him some flashes back. Go get him, Tiger. Stick our head out our cockpit here. Wings folded. Maybe this is the guy who crashed. Didn't know he had to unfold his wings, huh? unfold as he takes off. If that were, if you could find a Giga Chat in DCS, that would be the closest thing you could find. Pinky button, drag shoe. Press it once to deploy, press it again to drop it. Pretty good. Good for smooth landings. I believe on a slot 4 of the 6 buttons I have engine off. Slot 3 is engines on. So, for the guy who asked, one last time. Pinky, start on the joystick. Pinky, drag shoot. Trigger, cannon. Second trigger, wheel brake. High test, pointer finger side button on the throttle, or on the joystick, excuse me. Rightmost trim, or rightmost hat. Depress, trim, reset. Up, down, left, right. Center hat, weapon change. Right hat is a more slewable hat, so I can just flick it on, flick it off for electrical, optical, and radar. Pickles, the pickle button. Thumb hat is countermeasures, chaff and flare. Different buttons on the throttle or on the joystick are bogeyed up request, HUD color, HUD brightness, waypoint selection. Waypoint selection is not that important. If you want to play a campaign, a little more important. I do believe that's everything on joystick, but really recommend for any kind of joystick binds, no matter what joystick you have, find an image of a real planes joystick. There's tons of them out there. Just type in MIG-29 joystick IRL or SU-27 joystick IRL and try to base your joystick off of the functions that they have in reality, because the people who designed the plane designed it for pilot comfort and accessibility, and the joysticks we can use in our home setups are essentially the same thing, designed for usability. Who's coming by all up? The Red Hornet. I guess we should try to refuel, right, and get back up there with these guys. We're going to do that real quick before I go over the throttle binds.
Request refueling. Request rearming.
Oh, that's a
Copy.
NASA test squadron. Okay. Where was I? Comfortability. Usability. Don't strain your hands. Make sure you can touch everything that you need.
Осталось 800 килограмм. Рубеж возврата.
Encoders. RWR sound up and down. What was I testing? I was testing the rocket interface. I don't think the MiG-29 has a customizable rocket intervals. A10A for Flaming Class 3, SU-25 for Flaming Class 3. The free SU-25 that comes with DCS also has intervals. Unimportant. If you want to be a little more conservative with your rockets that you dispose of, yeah, give that a bind.
1500 килограмм.
Firing, instead of firing 3 rockets per rocket pod, you fire 1 or 2 per your selection. Red switches, like I said, red switches in the verbal software, you have to make it a 2 button, not just 1 button, because it's an on switch in the verbal software. So I have it on 2 buttons, landing gear up, down. Another red is HUD filter on and off. Other planes, that's my master arm. The flap switch recently became my flap switch. I like it. It's easy to reach with your thumb. Much better as a zoom function in non-VR mode. I like to stream in VR. It's a little more immersive, a little more fun. Talk from the cockpit, you know. Okay. 5. Here's the 5-way switcher for your 6 buttons. Make it a 5-way, so each switch is 6 buttons. 5 times 6 is 30. Get 30 buttons for free by making that a function. Not so much appropriate on Flaming Cliffs 3, but goodness gracious, on the Hornet, Viper, I've probably gotten the most use out of it on the Vivid, just because of all the inputs of data cartridges and whatnot. Really easy to access the kneeboards and maps on the F-14, F-16, and F-18. That's where I use
Refueling complete.
Haven't found a use for the kneeboards in the MiG-29 as much. So, metal switches I don't use on this, but yeah, you could use the metal switches absolutely for gear up, or down, or flaps. Starting from the pinky, jettison fuel tanks, big encoder on the side, use it for up and down on the encoder for flaps. Another aircraft, pinkies, weapon change, as a backup. If my thumb's doing something else, do it.
Rearming complete.
Stair hat, which is your ring finger, air brake on and off. The slider, I haven't really found a use for the MiG-29 or any of the Flaming Cliffs 3 for that matter. Good function for F-16, F-18 radar elevation switch. Hat next to the slider. RWS, TWS, mode select, up, down, left, right. I'll go over that quickly in the air once we pop up. That essentially decides where the radar is pointing in your nose. If you're flying straight, you know there's a dude off to your left, but you're going to move him. Make him believe you're still flying straight. Ping him with your radar. Keep him locked. Turn on him, fire a missile, and dip away, but you can keep a lock by adjusting the radome with these scan zones. And up and down, pretty important. If you're going to be sneaky, you gotta learn how to go up, and it's an interesting degree schematic. That's in the manual. I'm not gonna try to even quote it, but up and down isn't +1 and -1. It's like -7 +7. It's a big degree difference. Thumb encoder, predicted target range increase, decrease, not so important on the MiG, more important on the Su-27, Su-33, as it adjusts the zoom on your DDI data link display. Push in is nothing for you. Big, steep circular button. Radar pulse frequency select. Kind of went over that. Hat next to the encoder. Target lock. Push it in for target lock. Nice big square button. You just push it once and boom. Target's dead. Called the half pipe hat with 2 nice edges for your thumb to sit in. Push it in. Launch permission override. You're in range, but what's her name? So Svetlana doesn't want to give you a lock permission. Boom, override that girl. Tell her to get out of here, and you're firing a missile anyway. Close combat HMD, vertical scan, visual range, bore mode. 4 ways, 4 different types of firing modes in this craft. And red button single push and black button single push are for SRS. One changes the channel or the station, the other is a push to talk. I do believe that's everything. Definitely hit me up, ask me more questions. I've been filming B-roll for a proper MiG-21 or MiG-29, Su-27, Su-33 tutorial to put out in a YouTube long-form format. But someone asked me yesterday, someone asked me, I reached out to someone today and said, hey, I'm going to stream later. I'm going to go over everything that you need to get started in the MiG-29. Let's get our cockpit down. As I've gone over a couple times, electrical system's already on. Engines are off though. Start engine 1. Oh, throttle's down. There we go, engine starting. Only start one engine at a time in the MiG. So let that baby spool on up. Wait for it to hit 7,000 RPM. We'll start the right engine shortly after. No one, I say no one, Soviet bloc, American bloc, Compton bloc, Sesame Street bloc can't say that that air intake system
Ready? Clear to taxi to runway 25.
is lame. One of the coolest things in the modern aeronautical
Able to
industry.
clear for takeoff.
All right.
Chevy 6-1. Cobra ready? You are cleared for takeoff when ready.
Thank you,
Climb
ATC.
300 at QFE 748.50.
Hey, Eagle Dynamics, we're still waiting for the mute function on that bad boy, right? Okay. Zeroed. Trim. 10 clicks back. No flaps. We're light. One tank. Stand just out of burner. 300 knots. Crank it back. Nice and easy. Oh yeah, most important thing. Don't pull more than 15 degrees of AOA in this thing when taking off. You will strike your engines. So here you go. Pulled about 11, put about 12. Gear up. And we're cruising. Now that we've got some yabos up in the air, let's see if there's a formation we can hop in. If you're feeling risky and want to hop out of the lurker's cave, I did some mic adjustments. Let me know if it sounds alright. Too crackly. It's the microphone on the VR headset, so it's a little closer to my nose than I'd like. I think you guys hear every exhale as I crane my neck around trying to find a suitable plane to fly against. Or fly with, excuse me. Who's that, F-16? What did I want to show? Interleave. Oh, scan zone. Left, right, center. That's where we're going. Okay. You're just flying along. Do. You can do it with the IRST system or with the radar system. You see that little line at the bottom of the HUD? Oh, switch to the left. Back to middle, to right. So that is the left, right, center function. With the radar on, you can see it's at 0 off to the right of the HUD. As you increase 1, 2, 3, that steps up or down, pointing the radar up, down, or side to side. As I said, really helpful if you want to get, that's more advanced though, I'd say. Just like the interleaved high frequency, low frequency radar PRF function. But yeah, that's the basics of the MiG-29. I hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you learned something. If you have questions, definitely come by again. And gosh, almost 200 subscribers. Really appreciate it. And yeah, like I said, working towards more long-form content to help and educate new pilots within the DCS world, and as time permitting, other flight sims and other games as well. think the Sukhoi doesn't like it as well. I know the MiG doesn't like being inverted, but I'm trying to remember what the safe speed is for an inverted flyby. Now that the server is getting a little more populated, give the people on the ground a show, right? That's what I always say. Why be bored if you're refueling when you can get a nice flyby? But that's really the sweet spot right there, like a 450 to 580. This plane just slides. That's the best way to put it. It just slides. You don't have to pull too hard. Just be gentle, keep it in the speed envelope, and it goes where you want, and you don't stall it. And you look darn great doing it. Okay. That's a B. Oh, look at that rainbow. Oh, see, people ragged on the rainbows. When I see it, that is just another element of absolute crazy realism as you fly. Because it's not just a static rainbow, it's changing as the cloud. Whoa! Sorry, guys. That was me being a hot dog. I'll take it easy, don't worry. You guys are flying weird, though. Uh-oh. I definitely borked that one. I made it all the way out to the carrier group. What a good thing to do in the MiG-29. Well, this guy's probably going in for a landing, right? Yeah. '91. Hit the beans. Going for another landing, and I got a caller from there. I can't play any missions. Could play online. I could go troll some people, hit them with some R60s. Maybe I'll just do that. I gotta repair DCS, and I gotta remember to do it. Back down to Cavaletti.
Осталось 1500 килограмм. Don't worry, just the overG alarm. Let's try to get a proper, nice and smooth landing. No brakes, no overhead turns, no craziness, just a simple, long final landing. Looks like the other dude just took off. The
could select the waypoint, but I gotta earn my stripes, right? Keep saying I can land a MiG slowly and smoothly. Done it on other streams here, but for those of you watching, I'm going way too fast. 600, 580, no way. If that's sarcasm you think you hear in my voice, you're wrong. Yeah, I should have been cruising this whole time at about 450. Hey, we're right at 450. We'll go ahead and flaps down, gear down. Ooh, boy, that was the trim, me messing with the trim when I shouldn't have. Gears down so the air brake comes up. 400, a little fast. Give it some gas here. No. We'll just cruise it in. Here we go. Not even a peep. Just a little thump. There we go, in true fashion. Could we get a better angle? I do believe we can. Well, ladies and gentlemen, probably my most consistent high viewer count stream on the YouTube platform yet. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you learned something and can enjoy DCS that much better. If not, well, I hope you had a good time and were a little bit entertained. Still working on the mic, still working on game audio. I think I'm making strides in the right direction. Let me know if you have feedback. Send me a DM. Send me a message. Still working on other ideas. This channel should have social media. Do I want to make social media? Not really, but I think I will. MiG-29 tonight. Exclusively. Lots of crashes, some bug in the MiG in the DCS system. Gotta repair that right off of the stream. But I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Let me turn a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's better. Thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And as always, have a great night. I'll see you guys next time.